Today. My name is Joanne Germano and I'm with the University of Massachusetts Lowell. In today's session, we're going to go over ways to connect with colleges. During the challenges we face today, we as college representatives understand the importance of needing to be creative and think outside the box in ways to learn about colleges and the application process. So we've brainstormed ways which we hope you'll find valuable to assist you in this college search process and so that you can find the institution that is your best fit. If at any time you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them into the chat. We'll get to those throughout the presentation as best we can, and definitely will be able to answer your questions at the end. Also, at the end, we will have all of our contact information up so that you can reach out to us with specific questions if you like as well. So let's start with who we are. I'm Joanne Germano. I'm with the University of Massachusetts Lowell. I cover all of the Western region for us. I've been with UMass Lowell for about 8 years now, so thank you for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Ty Eisbach, and I'm with Carroll College. Carroll's in Helena, Montana. I'm a regional in Portland, Oregon, and I work with students in all of Oregon and Western Washington, and I just started my 22nd year at Carroll.
Hi everyone, my name is Nian Quach and I am here representing the University of New Hampshire. UNH is located in Durham, New Hampshire, which is about an hour north of Boston. I am, however, based in Tacoma, Washington, so same time zone as you. Please feel free to reach out as you need.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Roosevelt Mendez and I'm with the University of Idaho. I'm also located in Tacoma, Washington, and I work with students on all of the Western Washington students, so Seattle, Tacoma, all of those areas.
So the four of us are all admissions representatives and we belong to an organization called ARROW. ARROW stands for the Association of Regional Representatives of Oregon and Washington. Our organization consists of 71 individual members from 44 different institutions. You can visit us at the website below. On that website, you can click on the member directory to find out who's part of ARROW, as well as our contact information and information on our institutions. We're a group of professionals who work with students, parents, and counselors in Oregon and Washington. So we're a resource for you. Many of us live in the Seattle and Portland areas or in California, and we can advocate for you in terms of getting into our schools as well as even scholarships. So we came up with 8 different ways to connect with colleges, from visiting websites to social media pages. A lot of you, we want to remind a lot of you that your high school counselors and community college counselors are also a valuable resource because they know you well. We're going to highlight the importance of registering for fairs, which many will be virtual now, as well as connecting with your area college representatives. We're going to talk about each of these points in detail too, so that you understand the importance of visiting colleges, both in person and virtually, how to connect with university people, and the benefits of applying early. So Roosevelt's going to get us started with the importance of visiting college websites.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Absolutely. So visiting college websites, I think, has never become so important as it is now. Unfortunately, with everything going on in our country, virtual ways of connecting with colleges has really become the primary way to reach out and to get information. Visiting college websites is one of the most important tools that you'll have as far as gaining information or receiving information virtually. And so you can visit websites from your phone, iPad, laptops. You can read about majors, housing clubs. So there's so much information that is living in college websites that it's very beneficial for you to go onto the website and look for as much information as possible. Obviously, if you're not able to find what you're looking for on your college website, that is what our representatives are for. That's what we're here for, is to help you find that information or to give you that information. But college websites is definitely a primary way for you to just get initial information about academics, student life. Anything that you can think of is most of the time found on a college website. So the next thing that I will be talking to you about is social media. Social media is so very important and has grown within the last few years. As you can see here, some of the popular social media platforms, TikTok being one of the recent ones that has come onto the scene. Not very familiar with it, but I've been learning so much about it and the trends that it causes and all the different things that are happening. But we as college representatives also use social media as ways to reach out to our students. We like to post new events that are happening. We like to keep you updated on what's going on campus, show you videos of our students, show you videos of our staff, of our athletics. So social media is not just important to be social with your friend groups, but also to reach out to universities and colleges and be able to see what's going on your campus, on their campuses, and see what is happening in real time. So social media has become so important in the college realm, in the recruiting realm. And so definitely use social media as a way to keep up or as a way to see when new events are happening or when colleges are doing things. So social media is definitely a way to connect with us. Most of all of the schools that you'll see, you all know all four of us that are representative have social media pages, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, now TikTok. That's becoming a trend. So definitely look for your college's social media accounts and follow them, as some information may be out there, but just so that you can get a feel of what the college is really like. And so the next thing is your school counselors. As I'm sure you all know who your school counselor is, and if you don't, get to know them. They are the people that really understand the college process. They've been doing it for years, or they're involved in that process. And so your high school counselors really do become that point of contact for colleges. I know as representatives, we rely a lot on the high school counselors that we reach out to get information about you, the students, to get information about your high school. And so we rely on them pretty heavily as well. But make sure that you're visiting your counselor's office. Make sure that if there is a counselor's resource page on a website, that you're visiting that. Counselors sometimes tend to be very overwhelmed. They have tons of students that they're looking at. And so just find the best way to connect with your counselor that are colleges. And so college and career specialist counselors are also a good way to be able to connect. And so make sure that you know your school, whether they have a college and career office, whether it's your regular guidance counselor's office, there is somebody on your high school campus that is dedicated to connecting you with college representatives. So definitely get to know who they are. Right now with COVID going on, virtual or in-person meetings are a good way to start reaching out and to really making sure that you're connecting with whoever on your campus it is that's going to connect you with us, the college representatives, or be able to give you scholarship information or when to apply. They're very knowledgeable and they're always in the mix of what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rosabelle. Hi, everyone. This is Nian again from the University of New Hampshire. And one of the great ways to connect with colleges are college fair. Now, I think we all can be in agreement that in-person college fair is probably unlikely to happen this year, or certainly this fall. But don't worry, there are plenty of virtual options. All right. So now, the nice thing, I know that they're not the same, okay, as in-person college fair, but there are a lot of perks that come with virtual college fair, right? Obviously, they save you a lot of time. You can just log in like 2 or 3 minutes before the actual fair itself. You don't have to drive anywhere. Don't have to worry about traffic. And guess what? You can totally put on, a nice top and rocking the pajamas bottom while you're meeting with all these college reps. And then also the nice thing about that is now you have access to all these different colleges and university options that you might not be able to access before if you were going to perhaps a smaller in-person college fair. As for the different college fair channels, we want to highlight two of our partners that we have frequently worked with in the past. So Strive Scan, all I have to do is Google them. So they are a company that hosts college fair, and if you Google them, you will get on their website. There'll be a list of college fair you can check out. This can hosted by different region and different state. And then NACAC, so this stands for the National Association for College Admission Counseling. They also offer virtual college fair throughout the fall, and these events are actually free for students, so we strongly encourage you to take advantage of them. And then last, oh, can you go back, Joanne, actually? Thank you. And then your high school will also have their own virtual event, okay? So whether it's college day, fair, all you have to do is really reach out to your guidance counselor or your college specialist, and they'll be able to, you know, kind of guide you through that. And so make sure you take advantage of these virtual events by registering for it, and then check out colleges that you haven't considered before, because you might learn about a new one. It's only going to take like a minute or two to connect with an admission rep, and who knows, you might find a school that best fit your need. Thanks, Joanne. Thanks. All right. So the next step that we strongly encourage you to do is get to know your rep. All right. So each of us are representative for our own university and colleges. So once you have a list of the colleges and universities that you're interested in, figure out who is your admission counselor. Okay. So as we are through our introduction earlier, we each have a specific territories that we work with. We're all here because we are working with students from the Pacific Northwest, so reach out to us, you know, shoot us an email, give us a call. We love to talk to you. And hopefully once things are, you know, safer, we'd love to meet you up for coffee. And a lot of time the university will be happy to pay for it. So you get some free coffee, you get some information on the university. It's a win-win all around. And then some schools have what we call demonstrated interest. So by reaching out to us and connecting with us, you get a little bit sometimes a leg up as your application goes through that admission process. Not all schools have demonstrated interest, but certainly reach out and check with the school that you're interested in if that's something that play a role when we're reviewing your application. And then last but not least, plenty of virtual office hour and appointment should be readily available on our website. So just, you know, check us out or send us an email, give us a phone call, and we'll be happy to connect you with the, you know, the appropriate channel that best fit your schedule and your need. And then last but not least for me is the visit campuses. As I mentioned earlier, I think we're living in a very strange time right now where the option to visit campus might not be available for a lot of the school that you're thinking about. However, virtual tours are everywhere. So you can, you know, visit school in, you know, California, all the way Texas, all the way to New Hampshire, Florida on one day, and that is so convenient. So take advantage of the virtual tour. Again, it should be readily available on the university website. I have to do a quick Google. And this is actually a great starting point for you to get a sense of the campus. And then once in-person tour become available, again, we'll certainly encourage you to, you know, come visit our campus. Some university or colleges even offer fly-in program where they will help you offset the cost of traveling to the university. So when in-person tour is an option, again, certainly, again, connect with the counselor and see if that is an option for you. And if you're eligible for it, we certainly would love to see you visiting our campus in the near future.
All right, and I'm here to talk to you about campus people. I like to tell students that colleges have personalities just like people do. And the campus people are those that collectively are going to make up the unique personality of those campuses. And when you hear that selecting a college is about finding a good fit for you, then meeting the people of the campus should be an extreme importance in finding that fit or whatnot. And so we have a list here of some of the people that we think are important for you to meet while you're on campus. And number one, students, right? So I think it's really important to find out, are the students that are on those campus, are they, you know, your people? Are they people that you see as friends? I think it's important to chat with them about the college, to hear about their experiences. Students are going to be brutally honest. So when you ask them, you know, how's the food? What's the weather like? Is there things to do on the weekends? Do students stay on campus or do they go home? Things like that. They're going to tell you those things. And then you want to listen to certain themes, you know, with the likes and the dislikes. Do the likes, the things that they enjoy about the campus, do they fall in line with what's important to you when selecting a college? but most importantly, the dislikes. Are there things that keep coming up, and are those dislikes deal breakers for you? So listen closely to the students and their experiences, everything from their dealings with professors, with the administrators, with the community, meaning the campus, maybe the town it's in. Really ask those sorts of questions. And I think don't necessarily just go somewhere because a friend goes there or because you've heard good things, but really do your homework yourself and find out those students that are currently there, what is their experience. And then professors. At a lot of schools, you can request to have a meeting with a professor. And this is a great way to find out what the academic area that you're pursuing is going to entail, right? So, and then what the classroom environment is like. So the other thing you can find is, are the professors approachable? Listen to their stories and find out, do they have relationships with their students? Maybe that's not something you want. Maybe you sort of, don't need to have the relationships, but what is the environment at that particular school? And then the opportunities. Some schools, a lot of times the professors are going to give students information and provide access to, things like research, to internships, and making students aware of those things. Study abroad opportunities. So how closely are you going to work with the professor, and listen for those things to see what the relationship is with those students. And then the advisors. So advisors are going to be really important on many college campuses. These are the folks that are going to keep you on pace to graduate. They know the curriculum. Again, you want to make sure that they're approachable, but also available. I think, you want to find out how many students are they advising, and how much access are you going to have to your advisors while you're there. Some schools have specific advisors for each department. Some schools, the advisors are the professors, and some are academic advisors. And so if there's students that have learning differences or whatnot, those are folks that they'd work with as well. So that's another important element maybe to your college selection as well. And then staff members. So staff members are going to be really important. And I think for you mainly right now, that's going to be mainly like admissions, financial aid, and whatnot. So, we already talked a little bit about getting to know your admissions counselors and the importance of that relationship. We'll make sure you have all the information that you need to make for a successful application, keep you on pace to complete that application and know about deadlines. And then financial aid, folks in that office will kind of help you out with scholarships and talking about financial aid packages, answering questions, things like that. And then alumni. Now, I will admit, most alumni, once they've gone through and spent time on campus, they're going to have wonderful experiences and have wonderful things to say. But I think what's most important is really to listen to their experiences and their stories and find out if that's the experience that you want to have, right? So if you're looking for a small school, you might not necessarily be attracted to a lot of the things that a bigger school would provide. But if you're looking for a large school, maybe you don't like the intimacy and some of the relationship and things like that, or maybe that's not important to you that a smaller school provides. So it just depends on the experience you're looking for and what you hear from those alumni. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, thank you. So applying early. I mean, obviously, any admissions counselor is going to tell you to apply early. The earlier you provide, the more time you give yourself to really find out information, research these schools. I use myself as an example. I literally overnighted my college applications the night before they were due, and that was like March 15th. I'm older, so the deadlines were different then. Don't do that, because I literally gave myself about a month to find out financial aid packages and make decisions or whatnot. It was really stressful. The earlier you apply, the more time you're going to get communication from those schools, which change kind of from the prospective student to the applicant stage. There's going to be a little bit more directed information. You give yourself so much more time to hit those campus visits, to learn about the opportunities and fit those campus visits in. Okay, find out where you're applied to, and then kind of make a plan down the road. So again, find out sooner scholarships. Can't tell you how often I have students that maybe find out about the school later on, and so they apply late, but a lot of the scholarship deadlines have already been passed. So now's the time to really be educating yourself on not just the application, but really when are scholarship deadlines, because some of them can be as early as around those early action deadlines, say November, December time period. And then access to accepted student social media pages. And every college is going to be different, But I think one thing that's exciting is that you can see what the students are involved in, the types of things that they're doing on the weekends, what they're doing for fun. And again, start to hear those stories and start to see what the vibe is and what the environment is like on that campus. And social media is a great way to do that. Next slide. And then finally coming up with a to-do list. And I can't stress this enough. I tell students all the time that the summer before you start your senior year is the best time to really start working on that to-do list. Make appointments with your college counselor. Obviously, you can't do that until school starts. That might be a little bit more difficult this year, and every school is going to have an individual plan for that. But a lot of times, college counselors and career counselors, they get to know these schools extremely well, and so they're going to make recommendations on schools that maybe you haven't even heard about before that are going to be a really good fit for you. But they're also going to be there to really kind of help keep you on pace to make sure your applications get in on time, make sure you're meeting your deadlines, and maybe make you aware of things that you didn't even know. You might be going through this for the first time, and they're there for you. Narrow down your list of schools. I would say that in my 20 years of college admissions, this is the thing that I think I've seen change the most. So when I first started, students really kind of applied to less than 10 schools. And around April, before that May 1 deadline, they would really have about 2 schools left. Then you saw the common application come about and all these free applications or whatnot. And in recent years, I've seen students apply to 20 schools or so. And I think what's happening is that students are applying to colleges sometimes before they're researching the schools. So they're just throwing applications out there like darts to try to see, where am I admitted? I think you're going to help yourself a lot if you narrow down the list, do the research. You can always add some schools later on. I really think a healthy list is probably like 5 to 8 schools. And that does involve some research beforehand, but it'll allow you to really narrow that down. You'll make campus visits, you'll find out financial aid packages, and really you'll be looking at, probably 1 or 2 schools by April. I just think students are so stressed out these days because when you have a list of 20 schools, they sound so similar. Financial aid packages might be similar. There might not be a real, it might not be real clear which schools stand out when you have a group that big. So do your homework, apply to a few schools, and it'll save you a lot of stress down the road. Asking for letters of recommendation early. Again, think about this. I tell students that the person that you want to ask for a recommendation is your favorite teacher, correct? So chances are that particular teacher is also the favorite professor or teacher from a number of students from your school. So they get inundated with requests to ask for recommendation writing. And it's so important to give them the time to do it early on. For any juniors that might be looking, I always recommend, even tell them maybe before you go home your junior year, at the end of the year, and say, I'm going to ask you for a recommendation next year, just so you know, so that it's kind of in their head. And when you come back your senior year, you can say, hey, I'm kind of looking for that recommendation. And I think they're going to be impressed by that. And maybe you'll be one of the first people to write. Give them at least 2 weeks, longer if possible. But you really want to give them the time that they're not rushing those applications or the recommendation as they're writing everyone else's. You want them to be able to take time for yours. Put together your resume and list of extracurriculars. Pretty self-explanatory. I mean, those are things you can kind of do as you go along and apply those to your applications. Essay, number 5. Look, I tell students all the time, this is my favorite part of the application because it's where I really get to know the students. And I would say in this day and age, far too many students really kind of rush the essay. They just want to get it done. And I get it. I mean, it can be a stressful part to write about yourself. And, there's so many questions of what do I put on paper? What do they want to hear? I tell students, ask me, reach out to me, find out what I want to read about or if it's a good topic or how I should write that. I love it because I want to get to know the students. This is the part of the application, really the only part that we get to know who you are. We get to hear your voice, how you think, what's important to you. And we're building a community. So the essay really kind of helps us get an idea of what you bring to the table. And really taking the time on this is going to be huge because I think you really stand out when we feel like we've really gotten to know you through that process. And like I said, not many people really go to that effort. So I think that's going to be beneficial. Proofreading, you're going to hear that over and over and over, how important that is. And I agree with that, but I would say don't have too many eyes on it because I've seen essays before where I got to know students and I feel like at some point it's not their work anymore. So, too many people have had eyes on it. Proofreading is really just, kind of, going into number 7, making the edits, seeing what needs to be changed up, but not really changing what the essay is. It still needs to be your work and what you originally set out to put on paper. So be careful of that. And then number 8, submit your applications. And again, there's going to be a numerous deadlines with, schools. Some of them have early action deadlines, which are non-binding. There's early decisions. So if you have that one school out there that is your dream college and you'd go there regardless of anything else, a lot of those are going to be binding. So you have to know that. And what does that mean? What does that look like? And you can ask the admissions folks at those schools what that means. Far more schools have the early action deadlines than they were used to, so that's pretty common. And those deadlines are throughout the fall. I think November 1 is pretty popular, November 15, December 1, things like that. And also deadlines for certain programs. So for example, like nursing at Carroll, we have a November 1 deadline for direct entry nursing. I think that's common with schools. So ask about specific programs and deadlines for that. And then of course, scholarships and whatnot. Sometimes you have to be admitted in order to apply for scholarships. So just kind of know the whole process, the deadlines for different schools, and make sure that you're in line for all of them. If you do that and you prepare yourself and do your homework, you're going to be fine. So with that, I am transitioning right into Carroll College. So we are going to kind of conclude here before we take questions and answers and talk a little bit about our specific colleges so you get to know us a little bit. As I mentioned before, you might not have heard of any of us. And I think that educating yourselves on a number of different schools is advantageous to you. So Carroll College, I mentioned earlier that we're located in Helena, Montana. And it's a beautiful part of the country. We're right in the Rocky Mountains. Helena has been listed as in magazines, the 27th best livable city in the country, Outdoor Magazine, and National Geographic is one of the best hiking and mountain biking outdoor colleges and areas in the country. So really is a phenomenal area and a beautiful area to go to college, staring at the Rocky Mountains every day. We're about 1,300 students. We're definitely a smaller college. We're a private Catholic, nonprofit liberal arts school. 60% of our students come from out of state. So many of the students in sort of living in the area where our Arrow schools are located. In fact, Oregon and Washington make up a pretty significant portion of our students, probably close to 35% or so of our class every year. So there's going to be a lot of students like you there. As far as our programs, we have 40 majors on campus, and really the highlights are going to be pre-med, nursing, and through zoology and engineering. So we have an extremely high acceptance rate to medical school. Just 2 years ago, we sent more students to schools like the University of Washington or whatnot than any school in the region, and typically we're one of their top 10 feeder schools. So if you're looking at pre-med, we're an excellent option. With nursing, we are a direct entry nursing program, and we just opened up our state-of-the-art new simulated patient nursing lab, so that's exciting. We have students that work around at Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic every summer in internships, and our students get jobs all over the country in nursing, so it's a wonderful option for that as well. Anthrozoology is a new one you might not have heard. It's actually an equine and a canine program. So if you're someone that enjoys working with guide dogs, this is the program for you. And we just opened up a brand new canine center where we have lab space and a place to keep our dogs on campus. And then we also have barn facilities where we have horses. So if you're looking to go into equine therapy or whatnot, you can do that. It's also a great route for vet school. And then engineering. So we are a small school, so if you want to study engineering, but you want a more intimate setting, our engineering program is going to be about 30 students or so. So you work very closely with your professors and whatnot. And then lastly, I would just say, as far as liberal arts colleges go, we're pretty affordable. So Carroll's going to be less than $50,000 a year for everything, for tuition and room and board. I know that still sounds like a large chunk of change, and our average scholarships or financial aid packages are over $28,000. So we really make it affordable for students to attend private schools. And if you want more information or thinking Carroll might be a fit, feel free to reach out to me and I'd love to visit with you. Thank you much for listening. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Roosevelt Mendez. I'm with the University of Idaho. The University of Idaho is located in Moscow, Idaho, so about 5 hours, 5.5 hours from downtown Seattle, about 6 hours from Portland. So we're located right on the edge. So we're about, to give you a little geographical location, about 20 to 15 minutes from Pullman, Washington, where WSU is, right down the road. We're at about 11,000 students, 9,000 of those being on our residential campus in Moscow. The University of Idaho is a huge research institution. About 2/3 of our students are doing undergraduate research. So a lot of our students are doing hands-on lab work, especially within our agriculture. We have a dairy farm on campus that a lot of our students interact with, meat processing on campus. So there's a lot of interaction that's done on the University of Idaho's campus. We are the flagship institution of the state of Idaho, which means that we do get a lot of research dollars every year to do research. Our professors reach out to undergraduate students to do some of that research with them, and to be able to, for a student to have their ideas come to life on our campus. We are a WUI school, so if that's something that you are looking at, we are a WUI school, and we do accept students that have at least a 2.6 or above GPA for admissions. Some of our more popular programs are like our direct entry architecture program, our direct entry engineering program. We have about 8 concentrations in engineering. We have 96 undergraduate majors on campus. So if you can think of a major, we probably have that major for you on our campus. And so it's a really nice middle-sized school. We are D1 school, part of D1 Athletics, Big Sky Conference. And so the University of Idaho is definitely on the forefront of making some research happen if that's something that you're interested in. And so definitely reach out to me if you are looking to the University of Idaho to apply next year.
Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Joanne Germano. I'm the Associate Director of West Coast Regional Recruitment for UMass Lowell. So I'm actually born and raised in Massachusetts, so I can tell you about the weather. But I am based in San Diego. I cover the West Coast. You can get a direct flight into Boston from the West Coast and jump on the train, get to campus in about 35 to 40 minutes, so you won't need a car. We're part of the UMass system, so we're a public research institution. We're 11,000 undergrads, but our average class is 25, so we're very hands-on. We have over 100 direct entry programs to choose from. Most popular are going to be the STEM and business. We also do a lot of 4+1 tracks where you can do a bachelor's and a master's in just 5 years. We're a heavy co-op school, so students get work experience in before they graduate. We partner with about 200 different companies across the globe for students to do 4 to 6 months of work in their junior year. Our co-ops then turn into job offers. We have a 95% job placement rate. We're Division I in athletics, so there's a lot of excitement on campus. We look for a strong B average, and we have scholarships that start at a 3.25. That's a $10,000 scholarship, and we can go up to $20,000. We also offer fly-in programs. We're hoping to bring those back if we can be on campus with students April 2021, where we cover a lot of the expenses for you to spend a full weekend on campus. So I'd love to talk to you more, but now we're gonna go to New Hampshire.
Thanks, Joanne. Hi, everyone. This is Nia, and again, I'm the representative for the University of New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, or UNH, is a public flagship research university, and we are located in Durham, New Hampshire, which is about an hour north of Boston, an hour and a half of the majestic White Mountain, and a short 20-minute from the Atlantic coast. We are literally in the middle of everything, and with the largest transportation system in the state of New Hampshire, we'll make sure to get you where you need to go. So we're currently sitting at around 13,000 undergraduate students, making us a mid-sized institution. We have over 150 different majors for you to choose from, all direct entry, ranging from nursing, engineering, business, all the way to art and humanities, as well as undeclared. If you're not sure what you want to study, we're certainly happy to help you through that journey. So as you can see, we are, we offer the resources and the opportunities and the school spirit of a large university, while at the same time still able to, maintain that intimate and connection that typically come with a smaller college. So that's the nice thing about attending a mid-sized institution. And then speaking of kind of being unique, we are one of only 20 universities in the entire country with the land, sea, and space grant status. So what that means is that we actually receive funding from organization like NASA to do research in all those different areas. And, this go beyond the STEM. This talk about, research in psychology, in, children development, and so on and so forth. So if that's something you're interested in, we're certainly a great option. And then last but not least, I'm so proud to work for a university that incorporates sustainability into everything that we do. So from research to academic, from, renewable, 100% renewable energy when it comes to our transportation system, to using landfill gas to heat our entire campus, all the way to, organic, sustainable farming. So great, local produce in our dining hall, making us one of the best dining program in the country. Green is truly our favorite color. So if you're ready for an adventure in the beautiful New England, New Hampshire areas, while making a difference in the world, I'm here. Please reach out. UNH is ready for you. Thank you.
And now we'll all help answer the questions. So feel free to type in any of them in the Q&A and we will get through those.
I know there was a question that we thought was really good, and thank you, Roosevelt, for replying to that. I think we should talk about as each of the reps share their answer. So the question is, does an early decision give you an advantage over the normal deadline for application?
Well, I'll start. At UMass Lowell, we don't do early decision, that's binding. We have early action. This year we're adding an early action 2. So we have an early action 1 of November 5th. That's also our only nursing deadline. And then we have a January 5th early action 2 deadline. Students will get priority over scholarships and find out sooner. So that's the benefit of applying early action versus regular decision for us.
I'm going to echo Joanne, as UNH also does not have early decision, which is binding. We do have the November 15 as early action, which has so many perks to going early action. You get the decision sooner, you get more time to really compare your option, perhaps, hopefully, finger crossed, visit campus and all that fun stuff. And then, yes, but it's really does not play a role when it comes to decision for admission. However, with competitive program like nursing, occupational therapy, health sciences, applying early action, can ensure that the program is not filled by the time that your application is complete, and so therefore you're not eligible for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo my colleagues here. University of Idaho does not have early decision. It's a binding thing that you do. We do have a priority deadline of December 1st, and we encourage all of our students who are looking to get additional scholarship money outside of the WUI scholarship or things like that to apply by the December 1 deadline. We do start awarding scholarships right after that December 1 deadline. A lot of our other scholarships are through departments, the departmental scholarships, and so they need ample time in order to review applications and look at different things. So although we do not have that early decision, we do have a priority deadline, and I'm sure most institutions will have some form of early action or priority deadline. So it is a slight advantage when you get it in during that time, because then we can look at that application early and make decisions early. But I think in the grand scheme of things, for at least for the University of Idaho, the early decision is not really a big factor.
And I would echo that too. Carroll College, we have an early action deadline of November 1st. It's gonna be very similar. Most schools, that's gonna be kind of the case. My presentation, I mentioned early decision because I know that there's students out there that do have that school that that has just always been tops on their list, and they're extremely interested in that. And the early decision, it is a different set of rules. So you kind of have to educate yourself on what that means. So when you're admitted to those schools, you basically, that you're saying that's where I'm going to go. You're withdrawing your applications from other schools. And you make sure that the financial aid and all those things are going to work for that school. So I would really reach out to those schools to ask specific questions, because I've heard some bad things sometimes with students that are applying to multiple schools and whatnot. So just make sure that if you have that one school that you want and you're applying early decision, that you ask your high school counselor and you talk to the college and you really understand what that means.
It looked like we have another question in the Q&A that Ty, perhaps you want to follow up on a little bit, because I know you talk about this. But the question is, who might be a good proofreader for college application essays? Considering parents or friend could be biased, our college counselor or English teacher the better option? You mentioned that too many eyes can leave your essay feeling impersonal. So then how many proofreader do you recommend in that case?
I think, and again, my personal opinion, I think that it's common to have an English teacher look it over, and then I think a parent. I think that that's perfectly fine. Obviously, it's that's going to depend on relationships that you have with those people. So I think trust your gut. I mean, somebody that you trust and is going to give you good feedback. I mentioned that and there was a question about this earlier about, and I don't know how the rest of you feel about this, but I tell students, I know there's a lot of anxiety around what do I write about in my college essay, and I feel like it's beneficial for me to have that conversation with the student, because when I'm reading 1,000 essays per year, I want to make sure that they're good, right? I mean, I want to get to know these students, and I want to enjoy reading them, and so. I think that a lot of students are really creative and have some great ideas. And I've just seen sometimes they'll flat out tell me, they'll say, I'm not sure about this. A lot of people said I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't write this, or I shouldn't say it this way. And, I always tell them, I say, this needs to be your voice. It's not their work. So if you're happy with how you're saying this, or, you're explaining it in a way that, if this was your experience, depending on what you're writing about. So, that's really what I meant by not letting someone change it per se, but more just help with with editing and things like that. Obviously, some students are going to need more work on it than others, and I think asking somebody that you trust, but perfectly fine to ask a parent. They might be biased and say it's great, but you also might know that you have a parent or an older sibling that's going to be very honest with you. But it might be a high school counselor, it might be and ask college counselors. I mean, a lot of times, I don't know about the rest of you, but we go in and we do sort of workshops and things like that. And I've sat in on a lot of essay workshops over the years where you have opportunities at your high schools where you can go in and, they're not even students that are applying to my college, but I'll go in and read essays and kind of give you some feedback. So that might be an opportunity in your school as well.
There is another question that I'll read, and I think we can all probably answer, but what do prospective students typically connect with their regional representatives for, and what is a good way to get to know them and the school? I think this is a fantastic question given the presentation we just gave, and I think we would all agree that you typically would connect with your regional representative to get information about the university at a more personal level. So you can always go out into the website and find the same information, but it's always nice to see somebody from the university talk to you about that information and give you some more details, give you some caveats on what may be best practices. And so when you connect with your college representatives, we're more than just telling you whether or not you got admitted, but we help you through that process and help you through the application and try to answer some questions that we can anticipate you will have before coming onto campus. And so it's just a great way for you to receive more personalized information when you connect with your college rep. And a good way to get to know them is just by setting up a meeting with them, whether that's virtual meeting, maybe a coffee visit, or right now, probably just virtual visit since we're not doing much traveling. But a good way is just to send them an email, say, hey, my name is, I'm from this high school, I'm interested in this program. can we meet? Can we just have a virtual meeting? Let's talk and let's get to know each other. I think a lot of people look at us as those scary representatives. We're really just your friendly representatives from the universities, and we're just happy to talk to you about our schools and how passionate we are about them, and we're just going to give you that information. But if one of my other colleagues would also like to allude to it.
You know, Roosevelt, I just want to add, one thing that you mentioned I think is key. I think that a lot of times people see admissions folks as sort of intimidating, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, we all got into this profession because we love working with students. We love helping them through this process. And so that intimidation couldn't be further from the truth. I think that we're there for the students, and you're just going to educate yourself the more you get to know and have relationships with the folks at the universities. And it's what we enjoy. Every one of us would say that, when we actually working specifically with the students, now it's Zoom, but I mean, best part of my job is going out to coffee with students, sitting down and really finding out what their individual interests are and answering those questions to help them realize whether we're a fit or maybe not. I mean, I'd rather them find that ahead of time than later on. So, it's just educating themselves and forming that relationship, I guess. And that's why regionals really started, so folks like Joanne, who's in Boston, she's, you find out, nope, she's next door. Or Yen, I mean, schools that are across the country, and yet, there's someone down the street and you can have coffee with them tomorrow. So that's really why we're here. What else do we have here?
We have several more questions on here, so I guess we'll try to get to them in the next 10 minutes or so. But the first one I see up here, is it true that some schools, maybe the larger or exclusive schools, use people other than the admissions directors to read essays to screen them out? I will pass this question on to one of my colleagues. We don't read essays for admissions, so I'm going to pass this one on to maybe someone who does.
Yeah, I think that can depend on how large the school is. We're fortunate at UMass Lowell to have enough staff, whether it's part-time or full-time, to tackle all of the applications that we receive. But if you're seeing maybe some larger schools like UCs or maybe even ASU, they probably get 100,000 applications at a minimum. So they most likely will have to hire outside readers who are trained in how to go through your application from start to finish.
Yeah, and I actually know specifically that there are schools in the Northwest here, state universities, that do that they will actually have, they will have different eyes on the essays, or if they have specific essay for their institution, that they will sort of have like a ranking or whatnot. And it's just conversations I've had with them. So yeah, it's going to depend on the school, but that is possible.
I think one question that is going to be kind of easy to answer here, or kind of a way for us to answer those, is if you still have a large list of possible colleges you might apply to, would you recommend getting in touch with regional representatives from these schools early to help us decide if we are interested in that school, or later on once we have a smaller list of our top college choices? That's a great question. I think that's going to depend on each student. Like Ty has mentioned, we as regional reps, we want you to get to know our schools better. And sometimes once you talk to a regional rep, you're like, okay, this may not be the right fit for me. So it may be easier for you to start eliminating some of those colleges off your list. And that's something we can definitely help with. I will say that a lot of students will, once they talk to us, if they don't want to attend our school, they have a hard time saying that. But we as regional reps, we get that all the time. This may not be the best fit for you, so there's no harm, no foul. And so it's easier and it's better for you to reach out early and talk to us about it, because we may be able to give you a perspective that you can't necessarily get online. So we may be able to talk to you more about the school, and that may make your list a little smaller earlier. So I would just say that, yeah, I mean, if you want to reach out and we're a school on your list, then reach out, talk to us, and that could make the process easier for you. So I think we have about 3 more questions, and I think we'll be able to get to them real quick. The first one is, Will schools typically list their regional representatives on their website? I think that's an easy yes. Most of us will have our regional representatives listed somewhere on our website. So yeah, I think kind of going through that website and finding that, I'm sure you will find us listed. I did get a little, not mine, from Ryan. So there are some schools that may not have them listed on the website. So maybe reaching out to the school and finding who your regional rep is, or even when you attend events like this, you easily met 4 regional representatives right here. So you may be able to find them a different way. All right, one of the last questions, do you apply for general admissions and NROTC program and NROTC scholarships at the same time? I think this may be different for all of us, but I know for us in general, we have a separate application for NROTC than we do for admissions. So I would say no, that's not really that general, but it could be different for schools. I think NROTC is a different program outside of admissions. So you would want to definitely reach out to that department to apply to that department. But it could be different if one of my colleagues would like to answer.
And yeah, absolutely. And start that process soon, because there are some things, you know, there's a process to that as well. And at some schools, it can be really limited as far as the numbers and then scholarships as well. So start that process early. You can always decide you don't want to do it. But I tell students, if you're at all considering it, start that process early.
Sure, and I just want to quickly add that there's different deadline. So the admission deadline will probably be different from the ROTC scholarship and program deadlines. So just keep that in mind if that's something that you want to go into, because the date.
And similar to what my colleagues have said, it's a separate application for us for our ROTC program as well as the scholarships.
So one of the last questions here that I think we can all take time to answer is, when applying and obtaining scholarships from outside sources or from the schools themselves, does this need to happen after you've been accepted to the college already? Or can you start scholarship applications before you apply to the colleges? I would definitely recommend you apply for scholarships early, even if you don't know what school you're going to. If they're outside scholarships, so say for example, they're from Coca-Cola or whatever your local scholarships are, apply for those early. Make sure that you're getting those applications in, because most outside scholarships are gonna have tons and tons of applicants. And so if you can get that done early, get those submitted early, then that's something that's gonna be beneficial to you. So I would definitely recommend you apply for outside scholarships as early as you can, because you know that you'll be able to choose a school a little bit later, but sometimes those scholarship deadlines come rather quickly because they have tons of applicants and they really need time to read all of those. So that would be my recommendation, but I'll pass it on to my other colleagues.
And I would add that I've been really surprised at how early deadlines have become. And a lot of times I'm learning from students themselves. And I've actually seen students that have attained scholarships at the end of their junior year, which I was really shocked by. But I have seen like April 1 of junior year deadlines. I've seen September 1st deadlines for senior year. I don't think that's common, but they're out there. Two things I would say is the earlier deadlines probably have fewer students applying for them because they have fewer students that are aware of them. So educating yourself on those is probably an advantage. And also, Roosevelt mentioned the Coca-Cola scholarship, and I'll use that as an example. I always tell students that if they're giving away $10,000, they probably have 20,000 students applying for it. I can't tell you how often I have students at high school or counselors at high school say, hey, we can't give $500 away. For some reason, when scholarships are $100 or $500, I literally have seen those go without an application to them. So, and our financial aid director tells me every year that the students that come in with the most scholarship money, they don't have the Coca-Cola scholarship. They come in with like 10 different scholarships that add up. And those are the students that get the most money, because they're, you know, if there's a $100 scholarship out there, there might be nobody applying for it. If there's a $250 scholarship, there might be 10 people applying for it. So think about the smaller scholarships in bettering your odds. Apply to all, but don't overlook the small ones because they add up.
Yeah, so real quick, someone asked where can we find recordings for these sessions? I asked Ryan the same question before we logged on. They're working on that, so we will get that information out to you. I think they may be looking at a YouTube platform to maybe post these or send them out. I'm not sure if one of my other colleagues has more details about that.
But definitely feel free to take down our information on this slide too. You can reach out to us with any specific questions to our universities or just general questions. We're happy to answer those too in the meantime until you can get the recording.
So it looks like they did get confirmation during the presentation that we are approved to send them the YouTube link. So you will be getting a YouTube link to the video. So there's that. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you.
There's a question about resources for scholarships. And I think if you just go to Google, I mean, you can check with high school counselors. There's a lot of information in your counseling office. Right now, colleges a lot of times will list outside scholarships on their websites, not just college specific. But just Googling scholarships. And I tell students, think about things that are talents of yours. And I have told students this before, and we'll sit there and kind of type in different things that might apply to them. And I say, you never know when you might get a hit. So you could say like, oh, a cello player from Portland, Oregon at a private school. I mean, that's pretty specific, but you never know. Like I've seen students that'll type things in and something will pop up and they'll be like, oh my God, there's a scholarship for a cello player from Oregon or something, or, you know, so you never know. Like think about those kinds of things. Usually they're going to be more general, you know, not that specific, but, you know, a lot of them like FastWeb or College Board, or, you know, a lot of those are good starts. Do others have other recommendations? We just type in Google, you know.
I would say FastWeb, and yeah, FastWeb's a good. And then if I tend also to recommend that, say, student from underrepresented backgrounds. So, you know, like look for organization that work with like your CBL, like Boys and Girls Club, like those organizations that you've been working with. If you are first gen or, you know, you're from a diverse background, like connect with those folk. They'll be able to help connect them as well beyond the FastWeb and college.
And tell your parents to ask at their places of employment too. You never know. I actually had a student last year that worked at Dairy Queen, and she went in and asked her manager, do you guys have a scholarship? And he said, well, no, we don't. But she asked the question. A day later, he came back and said, you know what? I was so impressed that you asked this question and you've really been a value employee that I talked to our owner and they decided that they were going to put together a scholarship for you. So you never know, and just asking the question whether your employer or a parent's employer might have options for you.
It is 2 o'clock, and I believe that's all the time we had today. So thank you all for joining us. And if you have questions, feel free to follow us up, and I hope you all stay healthy and safe. Thank you.